This is the Education Business Podcast for consultants and business owners providing services in schools. I'm Claire Riley, and I'll be sharing how to start, grow and scale your education business. So before I start, I thought that I should mention that I get asked so many times how to sell to schools. Now, I've previously recorded another episode on selling to schools, which was episode 1, and I've also created a free course on creating your selling to schools strategy. So if you would like access to that, then you can find that at educationbusinessclub.co.uk/free resources. So today we're talking about selling to schools again, but this time through teachers, my favourite way, and I like to call this the down-up model. So there are many people that teach different ways to reach schools because, well, there are different ways. And I like to make sure that we encompass more than one of these ways at Classroom Secrets now, because now we're a small machine rather than a 2-person band. But when we started out, it was this down-up model that I developed and then perfected that was one of the reasons for Classroom Secrets' success. It's important to note that whichever method you focus on, I believe that how successful each method is changes all the time, and it needs constant tweaks based on a number of factors. And I'm talking about things like changing government, change in funding, change in age of the teaching community, because that is a thing that's happening at the moment, change of beliefs in the teaching community. So especially when you've got a big influx entering the profession and then many leaving it at the same time, it's almost like a culture change in an organisation with new bums on seats. Other factors are things like new ideas emerging in the education sector and the latest education news. So you get the picture. So all of these factors plus so much more will affect how successful each method of selling to schools actually is. So the important thing to do really is just to raise your awareness of outside factors, keep coming up with new ideas, and make sure that you are thinking like an educationalist and not being afraid to test things out. So what are some of the known ways that you can sell to schools? Well, you can cold email. I'm sure some people will tell you that you can cold call. You could go through the local authority. You could go through a liaison company who will recommend you. You could go through a mutual contact, or you can go through teachers. And that's the way that I know best. I'm passionate about that, and I love to teach it to other education businesses, selling to schools through teachers. Now, maybe you're thinking to yourself right now already how wrong that is, and that teachers shouldn't have to spend their own money on resources for the classroom. And you know what? I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I really do. But the situation that we're in means that teachers need help even if they have to pay for it themselves. So I want to share with you why focusing on the teachers is actually a good thing and beneficial for teachers, for children and schools in the long run, as well as obviously beneficial for you and your business. So I've got 5 areas to cover on this topic, so let's just dive straight in. So number 1, delight the customer. So when you start thinking about selling to teachers rather than selling to schools, your attention should automatically switch to what the teacher needs rather than what the school leaders need. So if you want your product or service to be successful, it can't just be what you think school leaders will want. It has to be irresistible to teaching staff as well. And that's so that they can contribute to your success in each school, especially if they're going to be the ones who are using the product or service. What is it that will really delight teachers? What's going to make complete sense to them, over-deliver for them, and save them time and make their lives easier? So this might seem really obvious, but when you start thinking about how to sell a product to teachers rather than to schools, then your mindset is going to shift and you're going to be worrying a lot more about what teachers need and how to communicate your solutions to the teachers themselves. And this is all about giving teachers the products and services that they really want and need. And if you do this enough with the right level of commitment, you're going to start your own word of mouth wave. And this is the key to exponential growth in my experience. So teachers will tell teachers, who will tell other teachers, who will tell their schools, who will tell other schools, who will tell school partnerships and multi-academy trusts. And this seems like a really long journey, and it is a really long journey, but delighting the teacher and giving them what they really want is where it starts. And when you've nailed this, teachers will use your products and services day in, day out. And when they use it day in, day out, SLT will see it as part of their monitoring work, and teachers will also be your ambassador to their schools for free. Number 2, connection. So this is all about your communication with teachers themselves. So I've talked a lot about delighting your customers, and to do that you have to make sure that you are talking to the horse's mouth, the ones who are at the coalface, and making use of the information that you glean from them. You can make a connection with teachers through your direct communication, but how else can you relate to them? How visible are you to teachers? How available to them are you? And how much are you being their helpful friend? So here's an example. You know what it's like in school? Policies go out sometimes from the government, and your average teacher might not even know about them. So when I was on long-term supply, we never had any updates from our school leaders on important changes. And often, because of that, teachers feel really unsupported. They want someone to reach out to, someone who will understand them and understand all of that and help them with that. So how are you going to present yourself being a helpful friend to individual teachers? Because when you're selling to a school, it's easy to hide behind an email system and a faceless brand. But when you're selling to a teacher, you need to rethink that tact and appear available and ready to help. Number 3, upsell. So the upsell from teachers to schools is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take months or even years, depending on the size and engagement of your audience. And in a way, you just need to focus less on the fact that this is one of your goals and put more energy into delighting the customer and building your connection with them, because if you get those 2 first areas right, the upsell will just happen organically. You're not even going to have to try. So when you think you are ready to offer something really good to a school, which is the same as what you're offering to teachers or not far off, you can ask for the upsell. And you'll know you're ready because you'll already have made a fair number of school sales by your word of mouth way of gaining momentum. So schools will have started to come to you, and you won't be sure why, because you won't have that tracked in your system, and that's when you know that you're ready to turn on the upsell. So that's the time to tell all of your customers that now you can help the whole school. But make sure that there is something in it for them. So you've already got teachers organically doing this and gaining nothing for themselves. So how many teachers would take this step then if it was right for them and they were given a little nudge? So think about your incentive. You know, for us, it's nothing massive. It's just a pro rata refund to make sure that they're not punished for getting the school a subscription. And, you know, we've tried more extravagant methods, to be honest, like giving them shopping vouchers. And to be honest, it didn't really have legs. Teachers honestly just wanted to recommend us anyway because they believe in what we do. Number 4, renewals. So once you have put all this hard work in to delight teachers, who have then upsold to the schools, you need to make sure that you've got a really slick renewals process in place. So you don't want them to just fall off a cliff because you're not keeping track of which schools are due to renew. So most of our renewals are on the back of the work that we've done to delight teachers, and that's where it begins. Because you have the first 2 building blocks in place, delighting the customer and your connection with them, it's not even a sell. It's easy because they're coming to you, and the selling bit is just really the renewals, and it's very much providing you with the service that you ask for perspective. And if you don't have a product that they would need every year, so you won't be able to do a renewal, then create something that they will need. You've done a lot of work to delight them and make them ambassadors of your company, so see it as your duty to carry on serving them. And number 5, you're probably wondering where to start. So you might be ready for this, to really start getting down to business with delighting teachers. You might even be doing this. You might be focusing on the teachers and letting the schools drip in as a result of that. But if you do mainly sell to schools right now, or you want to sell to schools but it feels really hard and you're not really having much luck, what could you offer to delight teachers relatively cheaply? Because it has to be what a teacher can afford. What's something that they really want that you can offer? Because it's teachers that will believe in what you can provide for them. They're the ones who will become the super fans. And they will be the ones to start off your very own word of mouth wave. So go forth this week and delight teachers everywhere. So if you're listening to the education business for the first time, then go and have a listen to my other episodes, especially episode 1, which was selling to schools.
Thank you for listening to the Education Business Podcast. To get more information to grow your business, sign up at educationbusinessclub.co.uk.